welcome everyone. Welcome to OpenJS World. Let's see if get this going. Wow, we're all in person for the first time in a long time, and we have our virtual audience, and we are just really grateful that you're here. But before we get started, I'd love just to give a quick thank you to our program committee. They put together an amazing program, so give it up for our program committee. I see some of them out there. Yay! And I also want to give a special thank to our sponsors, especially our diamond sponsors. Thank you, IBM and JFrog, and to our platinum sponsor, Nearform. You know, all of our sponsors really made this event happen. So I really encourage you to go to the sponsor showcase floor, get to know them and see what they're working on, and really appreciate what they're doing. And just a quick housekeeping, I want you all to remember our code of conduct. You know, we have it in our projects and we have it at our event. So if you experience any issues or you witness something, please reach out to our event staff right away. And just another reminder, since it's been a while, have you all heard of the Pac-Man Rule when you're at an event? Yeah. So the Pac-Man Rule is, you know, if you're standing in a group, always leave space for one person to join your group. Essentially stand in the shape of a Pac-Man. And so, yeah, so that's great. So we want everyone to feel included and welcome today. Great, so you know, over the past 2 years, Tuesdays have really been my favorite days because these are our community days at the OpenJS Foundation. So in addition to my awesome teammates at OpenJS, we have Jory Burson, Kahil White, Kylie Wagger-Dirks, Emily Ruff. They're awesome, but I have a lot of other awesome coworkers, and you see them all right here. We also met a lot of their kids, cats, and dogs. And you know, we stream most of our meetings live on YouTube, and we all work together every week to make JavaScript better, and we also have a lot of fun. So I thought it was kind of cool that we're here on a Tuesday again to hear about all the cool things you're building this week with JavaScript, and also we're going to build in a lot of fun. So, you know, just taking a step back, I always thought it was interesting to take kind of a historical perspective because, you know, when you're working day to day, you often forget the impact that you have on the world in real time. Your perspective gets lost in the daily work, the frustrations, the tweets, and the wins, big and small. And you know, it's not until you have a little bit of historical perspective do you really truly understand just how big and important what you're working on is to those around you and to the greater world, and even to future generations. And you know, this really hit me last month. I was in Minnesota with my mom and my aunties, some who are in their 80s, and there's mom with her cat-eye glasses up front. And you know, we were actually talking about how horrified we were with the discriminatory policies being introduced in states like Texas and others across the US. And we talked about how it's undermining human rights, and it's actually undermining everything that my family worked for on their farm in Rush City, Minnesota. And you know, this photo was taken in 1962, and it was 1 year later, 1963, that President Kennedy signed the Equal Pay Act. And the Equal Pay Act guaranteed equal pay regardless of race, religion, color, sex, country of origin. So, you know, these were like the original DEI pioneers. They raised strong, independent children who could be their true selves. And so for me, it really put in perspective how what they did then really sort of helped us now. But it was a good reminder that we have a lot of work to do. So yeah, the global events, they have been really hard over the past 2 years, not gonna lie. But I have been really fortunate. I have a wonderful family, I have friends, I have my community Tuesdays to lift me up. So this week, I'm asking you all just to take this opportunity to pause. And I want you to take time to invest in your skills, to take time for your community, and take time to lift each other up and to celebrate your wins, big and small. And I want you to truly understand that what you all work on really, truly matters. It matters not just to those around you, but to those who use your technologies today and, probably 60 years from now. For all of you who work in JavaScript, you're part of a large, healthy ecosystem. One of my favorite stats is, that 98% of the world's 1.9 billion websites use JavaScript. And we always ask, who are the 2% who are not using it? But, I interact with JavaScript every day. I wake up, I check the Weather Channel, read Bloomberg News. I hit boot camp on Peloton with my friends. Those are Lorraine's cats who are quite entertained. And then I work and eat my way through the day. And these are all built on apps using JavaScript and open source projects from Node.js, Electron, jQuery, and all powered by friends like you who really keep the internet up and keep me healthy and productive every day. But one thing that sort of sits with me every day is, gosh, what were to happen if we had a big security incident? The consequences and impact would be way worse than me missing my donut delivery from Uber. In truth, I haven't ordered donuts, but I have ordered pancakes on Uber. So who here remembers the Equifax data breach in 2017? Right? Huge. Private records of 148 million Americans, 15.2 British citizens, 19,000 Canadian citizens were all compromised in the breach. So sure, security has always been a part of the web, but arguably you could say that they're on a grander scale and perhaps could impact more people than ever before. Unfortunately, at the time, Equifax blamed open source software for their breach. And now the recent Log4j issue really has heightened concerns about open source software among policymakers, and not just in the US, if you see with the FTC, but many other countries around the world. So, sure, security impacts consumers, but wow, it really impacts all of us as well. So I just want to take a step back and just give you a brief overview of the OpenJS Foundation hosted projects. We host 40 projects that are part of the JavaScript ecosystem, including Appium, Dojo, jQuery, Node.js, and Webpack. And they are shipping and building things every day, and I would love to highlight them all. You can go to our Twitter timeline and check them out. But what's really cool is we have a lot of the maintainers from these projects here and the contributors. So take some time, check out their sessions. If you're interested, we have a collab summit later in the week, but take this opportunity to get to know them and see how you can participate. And one thing that we've been thinking about with our cross-project council, they're like our technical oversight committee who set our technical strategy, is what is our technical strategy? Well, we're working on it, but really, if you look at those 40 projects, they kind of cut across a variety of these scenarios. And so we may have multiple projects in some or all of these categories. And one really kind of fun thing recently is on the testing front. You may have all heard that we welcomed the Jest project to the OpenJS Foundation. They join other testing projects like Mocha, which is also really popular. And the Meta open source group transferred the Jest project to the community through the OpenJS Foundation, and it was really a great honor to host them. And as you know, Jest has 17 million weekly downloads, and they're used by companies across the universe, including Google, Meta, Microsoft, Stripe, Amazon. So welcome again, Jest, to OpenJS. And today we have more exciting news. OpenJS is adding a new technical solution area in JavaScript development. So here to share more is Chris Gervang with Joby Aviation. He's a visualization engineer and author of Hubble.jl, a JavaScript animation library, and he's also on the technical leadership committee of the Urban Computing Foundation. Let's see up Chris. Hey, Chris. How's it going? Great. All right. So today, Chris and I have really exciting news, and he's going to share a lot of details, but today we're celebrating that the Urban Computing Foundation is merging with the OpenJS Foundation. There you go.
Thank you, Robin. The UCF has for years been a forum for developers to collaborate on a common set of open source tools connecting cities, people, and mobility. Over time, we noticed adoption way beyond this focus and saw joining the OpenJS Foundation as an opportunity to become connected to an organization supporting activities that help us as we broaden and grow our focus. To continue this impactful work, we're announcing the formation of the Open Visualization Collaboration Space, a place within OpenJS to neutrally govern the most comprehensive and widely adopted visualization libraries based on JavaScript and WebGL. The UCF Technical Steering Committee and board members have all joined the Open Visualization Collaboration Space to continue their work just as before. We're also announcing we're moving 2 primary projects to the Foundation as part of Open Visualization, VizGL and KeplerGL. We see our community building web applications that explore transportation and urban development with an intensity that would otherwise be impossible. We also see non-geospatial use cases where VizGL frameworks are used to inspect super high-resolution bioimaging. We were already well aligned with the OpenJS Foundation goals, and I believe this is an excellent path forward for both the developers and users of VizGL and KeplerGL. Now, I'd like to take a moment to briefly introduce these projects. VizGL is a suite of composable, interoperable visualization frameworks centered around DecGL, a powerful library for visualizing large data sets. This technology was originally created by the Uber DataViz team when they realized existing JavaScript libraries were not meeting the challenge of modern visualization on the web. The most common approach, championed by D3JS, was drawing in SVG. It worked beautifully when you have just a few hundred visual elements, but when they worked with trips and locations and street segments at Uber, it's common to be rendering millions of points and lines. They looked to a technology called WebGL, which allows the browser to directly program the GPU. If you think of a visualization as a mathematical transformation of data from bit representation to pixel representation, dealing with large amounts of data points is essentially repeating this transformation over and over again. This is what the GPU is precisely designed to do. Following this mental model led the DataViz team to create DecGL. Dec is referring to this layered approach to visualization. Each layer represents one such mathematical transformation written as shader modules that draws common visualization types with the GPU. Here, you can see DecGL rendering almost 1 million geolocations as a scatter plot at 60 frames per second. All that the CPU is doing is interacting with it, and it's recalculating the map center and the zoom level. The GPU is performing the Web Mercator projection at all of the necessary precision. Uber open sourced DecGL very early on its development in April 2016 under the MIT license, and they started to see the community steadily grow. In 2019, governance was transferred to the neutral Urban Computing Foundation. Today, DecGL offers a growing catalog of layers addressing a diverse set of visualization use cases. Here are just a few examples of what you can make with just a few lines of code. We've made getting started as easy as it could be with extensive documentation and tons of examples. DecGL is a completely framework-agnostic framework and works great with any development environment. It's also been designed to work in tandem with all the popular JavaScript base map providers, so you can easily add geographical context for understanding the overlaid layers. Next, I'd like to introduce the other project joining OpenJS, KeplerGL. All over Uber, you could see DecGL powering essential tools for everyday operation. A visualization portal was used by hundreds of data scientists and operators daily to understand trip records. With a few clicks, it pipes in millions of rows from a data warehouse and shows them on a map. Every aspect of the visualization is customizable without writing a line of code. This tool was eventually open sourced as Kepler-GL and was the first Uber project to move into open governance at the UCF. People are making thousands of maps with it every day, and in 2019, it won the gold medal at the Information is Beautiful event. Kepler-GL is designed to be very simple to use. You drag in a CSV, a JSON, or a GeoJSON, and it will automatically parse and organize your data into an easy-to-work-with table. With just a few clicks, you can construct stunning visualization layers styled dynamically by the values in your data. Here, for example, color is tied to an elevation property in the topography of San Francisco. If you're new to data visualization, the Kepler-GL web app is the easiest way to explore and try out your ideas. The tool works where you work, with powerful plugins for Jupyter Notebooks, Tableau, and Visual Studio Code. Businesses are even embedding customized versions of Kepler into their own mapping applications by using its powerful React and Redux toolbox. There are lots of ways to get involved in our community. I encourage you to join our monthly meeting posted on the OpenJS public calendar, and to join our Slack to discuss your projects. We welcome contributions, big or small, whether it's adding a new feature, investigating a bug, or simply pointing out some documentation that needs updating. I very much look forward to this path ahead, and I'd like to invite Robin back to share more exciting updates about OpenJS.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Nice. That's so cool. We call it our little fireworks demo. It's pretty awesome. So, you know what's really great is that we're a member-supported organization at OpenJS with companies like IBM, Google, Joyent, Microsoft, GoDaddy, and Netflix. You know, they provide the financial support and also play an active role in our governance process. And you know, JavaScript is really key to these companies' success. And by supporting OpenJS, they're really supporting the infrastructure and growth of the open source projects they depend upon. So if you're ever interested in becoming a member, just give me a shout. And as part of welcoming UCF to the OpenJS, we're just thrilled to have their members join OpenJS. Here, Joby Aviation, Uber, and Foursquare. So really thankful and grateful for your leadership and participation. Now, not going to read this slide, don't worry. But it's just a way to show you that, you know, what we do and what we all do, from the foundation to all of you in the community, really is all about driving adoption for long-term viability and sustainability of these projects. And it's essentially about future-proofing these key open source technologies. And as you know, there is a lot more than writing code to make a project successful. You can think about like code quality, security, all of the infrastructure that we provide, from IP management, code provenance, hosting, CI/CD, scale testing. We have access to security experts, and we also do a lot of marketing to help drive adoption and to bring back end user feedback. And if you think about how we operate at the OpenJS Foundation, we knew that by operating in an independent foundation, we could help set these projects up for greater success. And people are always like, why do these projects move? And it's neutrality. And you know, neutrality ensures that not one company is controlling the technology that many companies depend upon. And they do so through a process called open governance. And open governance essentially is just a clear and easily to understand way on how decisions are made. It's transparent and it's open for everyone to participate. And by doing that, I think it really makes it easier to go fast and to innovate, because everything is shared and out in the open. But still, as an umbrella organization, a big goal of ours is to create this open governance process that gives us still a strong voice to our projects. Each of our projects operate independently with their technical steering committees. And then we have, like I'd mentioned, our cross-project council, the CPC, who sort of set the technical direction. And of course, we have our OpenJS Foundation Board of Directors. They set the overall mission of the foundation and direction. And of course, our staff provides a variety of support. And you know, we found that a stable community leads to a more secure open source project. Because you know, if you have cracks in your community, wow, those apps can just shatter. Because if your community is broken, it's more likely that your project can be at greater risk. So we have another cool announcement today, unless you've been all tracking on GitHub. We all know, again, JavaScript is everywhere, and our maintainers are working really hard on security and critical infrastructure. So today, the Cross Project Council is announcing the JavaScript Security Collaboration Space with a number of folks from across the industry. And together, we hope to reduce the risk on our supply chain and all of the associated, not just the OpenJS projects, but really make it sort of industry-wide. And another important announcement we just had recently was that the Open Source Security Foundation, which you'll hear a lot more about tomorrow from Brian Bellendorf, selected Node.js as the first project to support for their Alpha Omega project. And Alpha Omega committed $300,000 this year for the Node.js security and remediation efforts, with a focus on creating, supporting better security standards and sharing best practices. And how they chose us is obviously, you know, we know Node is everywhere, but they actually have a formula. You can check it out on OpenSSF. It's called the criticality score, and Node was right there at the top. And then we also have a really well openly governed foundation, or our project at the Node.js project. Yet it still is a very community-led project. And we also know that there's still not a lot of companies who use Node kind of contribute back. So really kind of another big goal of ours is that this project will maybe sort of jumpstart more companies participating in supporting the Node project on the security front. And wow, it's just been like a month, and the Node.js team really just hit the ground running. They've set metrics, they're already bug bashing and creating new processes, but there's still a lot to do. So if that's something that you're interested in participating, contact me, contact Matteo Collina, Michael Dawson, and if you're interested, we're going to be sharing our journey and our lessons on our blog and Twitter, so keep your eyes out. We also know that building skills is really important for the communities, and we just love a lot of the education that happens around the world, educating JS devs. But one thing that we were really excited about in Montreal the last time we met in person was launching our Node.js training and certification program. So I don't know if anyone out here, but shout out if you become a Node.js certified developer. Congrats, that's super cool. And this program, it was developed in partnership with NodeSource and Nearform. It had been in demand for some time with a lot of community feedback. So if it's something you're interested in, we do have a 60% off sale this week. We'll tweet out the code or hit me up, and we'll make sure you have that opportunity. And last but not least, I want to remind you of our individual supporter program, JavaScriptlandia. And yes, we are united in our love for JavaScript, and no, we did not buy a square meter of an island somewhere, for our own little country. But I do have some pretty cool embroidered patches if you join, and we'll have more swag on the way. So check out the website, javascriptlandia.org, if you're interested in joining. So, looking back at those earlier generations who kind of reset my perspective, if you grew up in the US like me, Mr. Rogers was really important as a role model growing up. He was also actually a pioneer in community and diversity. You are you and I am I was what he was really famous for. But I found another quote that I really see sort of summarizes a lot of work that you're all doing with open source and with JavaScript. And you know, what really hit home is remembering that your work matters. Node.js was downloaded like 3 billion times last year. jQuery is still used by 77% of the 10 million most popular websites today. And gosh, almost everyone I talk to uses NVM. But more importantly, I think it's really the communities who make up the projects at the OpenJS Foundation. They lead with heart, they lead with respect, and we know they lead with a lot of fun. So, you know, this JavaScript perspective is exactly what I needed on those Tuesdays over the past 2 years, and actually what I need all the time to really lift me up. So my message to you is don't lose that JavaScript perspective, and really don't forget that the impact you're making with all of the amazing things you're doing for future generations. So I invite you all to join our community at the OpenJS Foundation. If you go to openjsf.org/collaboration, Collaborate works too. You can join our Slack channel, you'll have access to our public calendar, and all of the ways to join. So I would really love to have you participate. Thank you.